There are very few rules in politics that are immutable, that never change. But one of the axioms that any political consultant or operative knows is you end your campaign on a positive note. You cannot end your campaign running negative ads wall to wall and speaking from the podium in a negative way all the time, attacking your opponent. You need, in the last 4 or 5 days before an election, to articulate a positive vision for the country, to tell people why they should get up and go out and vote for you. If you just continue to attack your opponent, and that's all you say, all you're doing is driving down turnout, both his and yours, and fueling voter disgust in the entire process, which is going to cost you votes, not win you votes. And yet Hillary is not only closing the campaign with negative ads, Trump is doing the same, and that's a pretty good strategy. But from the podium, all she does is basically say, I'm not as corrupt as they say I am. I'm being framed by a conspiracy here involving the Republican Party and the vast right-wing conspiracy, in effect, and that you shouldn't elect Donald Trump because he's an evil guy. And her entire podium, her entire face time in this election is devoted at best to rebuttal and most likely just a continuation of the attacks on Donald Trump. That doesn't give her voters a reason to come out and vote. Already the indications for her campaign are ominous in the early voting. African-American turnout in Miami, which was 25% of the early ballots cast, not Miami, Florida, which was 25% of the ballots cast 4 years ago, now is only 16% of the ballots cast, a fall off of about 40%. And if that fall off continues into the regular election, which it sounds like it might, you're talking about a dramatic decrease in the African-American turnout. Blacks cast 13% of the vote in 2008 and 2012, but their turnout before Obama was on the ballot was 11%, and it looks like it may go even lower now. And Hillary is not giving her base any reason to come out. There's a small group of people who hate Donald Trump and can't stand him, and hate him enough so that they'll come out to vote to save the republic from him. But the vast bulk of voters aren't motivated by that. And whereas Trump is running around talking about restoring American greatness, repealing Obamacare, and setting forth his tax cuts and his jobs programs, you don't get any of that from Hillary. This is the dumbest, stupidest close to a campaign that I've ever seen. And you know that it's not motivated by the strategists or by the relatively smart people, one of whom used to work for me, Berenson, who are advising the campaign. They're probably telling her what every consultant does, end positive. But she, I think, is so enraged, so fundamentally jilted in her sense of entitlement and her sense that this is her election, this is her presidency that's being taken away from her, and the sense of entitlement to all of the plunder of the Clinton Foundation, that she can't help herself. She does meltdowns every time she's out there and comes across as a negative, shrieking person, not the kind of person you want to trust as president. Now, the polls have only begun to tip. Rasmussen has Trump 3 ahead. The others basically have it tied. I had hoped for a more decisive shift as these polls begin to take account of the Comey announcement in the events of the coming few days. Generally speaking, a trend line that enters the last week will continue and accelerate as Election Day approaches. And if that happens, we should see Trump blowing this out to a more significant lead. If we don't, then we're in some kind of trouble and we need to figure out why. Thanks for watching.